Okay, so let's dive into some of these intangibles and we'll start with effort first. And I was telling you before we started to record, we were kind of joking around. I had a coach in high school. He was one of these rah-rah type guys, kind of a dope, but put more stock into his coaching than everybody else did. And he used to tell us as players, play with heart. And it never really made sense to me. But as my mind developed over the years, as I've gotten older, now it makes, and I've had a lot of experiences, now it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Playing with heart, baseball, softball. I don't know. We're not in a Rudy movie here. We're not in a Disney movie. There's not going to be music in the background that's going to be playing throughout the game. So playing with heart really doesn't make much sense to me. And it goes to that intangible of effort. Effort is more than just giving your 100% all out effort on one particular play. In my opinion, and again, I want to hear what you think about this. It's doing the little things correctly. It's making an effort in practice. It's making an effort sometimes to focus and zero in on what you need to work on. So that term effort is, I don't know, it's kind of ambiguous because there's a lot of things that go into that intangible of effort.
Sure. I'm going to put my physics hat on and say that effort is a vector, meaning that you could have a quantity of it, but it also has a direction. So
Mhm.
we can put our efforts into one direction, but that's not actually what's best for the team. And
Yeah.
sure, you're an effort driven person, but you might be only focused on how to get yourself better. And you've also missed the boat on how to get your team better. So I think of it in when you're playing for a team sport, you sit back, you say, what can I do to help my team today?
Mhm.
And it might be, I need to work to become the best I can personally be, whatever that may
Mhm.
be. And you're directing your effort in that direction. And then also the quantity too. I think people think they're going to be able to give the same amount of effort every single time, but you might show up to practice. You might have had a bad night's sleep. You might be sick. You have allergies, whatever it is. You're homesick. All of a sudden your tank is only 30% full. And it's a skill to not just check out and actually say, well, I'm still depleting that 30%. I'm going to give everything I have in my tank today
Yeah.
to that goal or whatever we're trying to accomplish. And when you have a great day and your tank's 100%, again, you might give great effort, but you might have not cashed out. You might have still left stuff in your tank. And is that, in comparison to someone else, you might look like you're giving more effort, but you still had more to give. So I think there's a ton of self-awareness. Again, this is just an opinion based, but from personal experience, from coaching athletes, from listening to other coaches, are we putting our efforts in the right direction and towards the right thing, and are we teaching ourselves, are we aware enough of how to actually empty our tank for leave it all on the field, right? And as far as playing with heart, the only thing I can think of is just being romantic about baseball and softball, and actually like caring about putting the jersey on, and those types of things. But you're right, we're not like going into battle and needing to dig deep to go up against the lineman.
Right. We're not. Who is it? Gerard Butler in 300.
Mhm.
Right. We're not going to
Exactly.
battle here. So I'm thinking that playing with heart is going to become. It's going into the category of trust the process or the
Mm,
process on this
there you go.
show of some of the restricted sayings and old sports cliches. Now I will say with effort too, there are players who sometimes they miscategorize what their effort really is. Like for example, they give so much effort in the batting cage because that's what they love to do. They love to hit.
Mm,
I hear the dinging in the background where you are right now at work, and I hear all these hitters hitting. Everybody loves to hit. That's the one thing in baseball and softball I've noticed that players just they love and they can do over and over and over again, and they can do it until their hands bleed. Cool. That's all well and good. But if you're putting effort into that, Cass, and not putting the right amount of effort into what you need to work on, if it's your foot speed, if it's your base running awareness, if it's your fielding, little things like that, your game still will be affected and you're putting the wrong amount of effort and energy into the wrong part of your game.
for sure. And you think about it too, that's probably the hardest thing in the world, to do what you're not good at. It's to all of a sudden look at yourself and be like, okay, well, granted, yes, I love to hit, but maybe you don't need to put the tee right down the middle and hit cage bombs over and over again. You need to
Yeah.
set the pitching machine up on something really hard, and that's the hitting you need to be doing. And you're 100% right. Like, I'm so fortunate with our gym right now. We have throwing going on the turf right now. We have hitting going on behind me. We have a recovery arm care station up here. And then we have our full weight room downstairs. So you have 4 different opportunities to get better. And we have plenty of guys that come in here. They'll throw a little bit, hit a little bit, and then they'll head out. And they won't do the hard stuff. They won't do the stuff that's not as fun to do, which is the arm care, the recovery, the weight room, and all that. So it's buying into the process. Maybe not trusting it, but buying into that. Hey, I'm gonna put my work in right now and have it show off later on down the road.
Well, look, hey, and look, you mentioned going to the gym, for example, like me with fitness. I don't like to do mobility work. I don't like to do foam rolling, but it's a necessary part, necessary evil, if you will, of that process. And also, furthermore, in that article about the intangibles, that again written by Bill Connolly of ESPN.com, talking about effort. Part of effort too is finishing. And he talked about that in the article as well. It's a player needs to be able to finish. That's part of the effort, finish whatever job they are doing in that moment. He used an offensive lineman, for example, finishing their block.
So I'd say, the title of the book I wrote was called Finished It. And it was the whole idea of what it actually means to finish it. And it was not just, so it was like your warm-up drills. It was training yourself to finish through the line. It was the last 5 minutes of practice, the last set of a lift, the last 2 to 3 reps. Let's say you're doing a set of 10. How many times you come out of the gate strong and then you're kind of like coasting through the end? If you can also flip the switch and be like, no, I'm finishing 8, 9, and 10 just as good as I did 1, 2, and 3. And granted, that bar speed might not be the same, but your effort into it, you might be putting that you might be gassing yourself to that same type of effort. So all of a sudden you've trained yourself to be at your best effort, to have the gas pedal down at the very end of your lift, of your sprint, of your warm-up drill, of practice. You get to the 7th inning of a game and you've already trained yourself to be at your best when you are supposed to be coasting, when you're supposed to be at, by most tired, the end of season playoffs. That idea of finishing it, that effort driven, why those intangibles are weighted in gold is those are the teams that win. Those are the teams that squeak out the wins they're not supposed to, or come back, or finish the playoff strong. They peak at the right time. So yeah, all of that matters. It's not the most talented team that's winning the World Series every year. It's not. So it's those guys that are coming together and playing at their best baseball or softball at the right time.